If you like fantasy football, you need to be playing on Underdog Fantasy. It's my favorite new fantasy football app. The website and app are super slick and by far the best experience out there to do snake draft games for real money every week. You draft a new team every week and you get a shot at big prizes. There's no lineup setting, waiver wire, or bad trades to deal with. The team that built the app is top-notch and the customer support is the best in the game. They're constantly updating and adding new features. Look up Underdog Fantasy on your app store or go to UnderdogFantasy.com to play today. Make your first deposit today and be sure to use my code PFF after you do to let them know I sent you. All right, the last game of the week right here, Indianapolis Colts at the Chicago Bears. The Nick Foles Chicago Bears. How about this? What a fascinating game. You ready for my Phillip Rivers stat?
Okay.
This year, through 3 games, Phillip Rivers has been pressured 17 times.
Yes.
Last year, he had 6 different games where he was pressured 17 times.
That is an outstanding stat.
And he was pressured 14 times per game.
Yeah.
Last year.
Have you dropped that in the chat?
Oh,
That's
everywhere.
amazing.
It's been on. It was one of the tweets that I suggested.
That's
it was in my
outstanding.
article, my week 3 article. My weekly thing is to check the Phillip Rivers pressure watch.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about preseason predictions. This is like, we nailed it. You got it. You're with the best offensive line in the NFL. He's also getting rid of the ball extremely quickly. And he's playing with real pockets, which is great. Mo Alley Cox is breaking out as an athletic tight end who can make some plays. I think Indy is a couple bad Phillip Rivers decisions away from being 3-0. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the reality of them being 2-1, but they're still flying under the radar because they did lose to the Jags in week 1. But I like Indy in this game. They're favored by 2.5. You confuse me because sometimes you do the dog and some, I see what you're doing.
So I was
You go with the
confused
home
by
team.
that as well. Yeah, it's the home team. Us being hardcore gamblers obviously know that. But that's how they decide that. I would be much more comfortable if you just gave
give
me
me all
the
the
favorite
faves,
every
yeah.
week. But apparently that's not how it's done.
Indy's defense is playing well, and again, the caveat defense is dependent on, you play Sam Darnold, you play whoever.
Yeah.
But I like Indy in this one. What do you think?
So Chicago, has this ever happened that a 3-0 team just upgraded a quarterback?
I don't know. I can't think of anything
Right.
offhand.
If nothing else, it has to be an extremely rare occurrence, right? Now, a lot of people are sort of saying that Chicago is this fraud of a 3-0 team. I don't think they are. I think they are a 3-0 caliber team. The roster is a 3-0 caliber team. The problem is we always knew that it was probably built on a house of sand in terms of Mitchell Trubisky, right? Like, he played well enough in games 1 and 2 for them to win. Game 3, he didn't, which is why he got benched, right? But the baseline, like if he just gets to that average baseline as of quarterback play, this is a good roster, top to bottom. It's got good receivers. It's got a good system on offense. It's got a really good defense that is being enabled to play as well as they can because the quarterback play has been okay. If you get that going forward, this is a really good team that I think can get to the playoffs and contend. And as much as Foles week to week is like, roll the dice and see where we're going to land, the baseline, I think, will be high enough for that to happen. And I don't think the Colts defense is good enough to prevent him doing that.
We'll talk to Robert Mays at the end of the show a little bit about this. He's a noted Bears fan. He's got some opinions on Foles. I've spoken to other Bears fans or just read their comments. And I think at the very least they're saying, okay, Foles gives us, not only does he have the high highs or whatever, he gives guys a chance. We've talked about Allen Robinson year over year playing with, starting in high school, an overrated 4-star quarterback, Christian Hackenberg at Penn State, Blake Bortles with the Jaguars. I mean, we've seen him.
He is a top 10 NFL quarterback and may genuinely receiver and may genuinely never have had plus quarterback play in his entire career. And when you consider how dependent receivers are on their quarterbacks, that is one of the most absurd, career arcs in the history of football.
I will say, it doesn't matter that he played with Blake Bortles. It doesn't matter if you play with a bad quarterback as long as you have an aggressive one that at least puts the ball somewhat close. Bortles gave him jump ball. He had a million jump ball opportunities.
It matters to a degree because we know that contested catches are not particularly stable. Even if you're good at them, it's not a high percentage play.
But it's a higher percentage than the Trubisky throw out of bounds.
It's better than a guy not throwing you the ball or throwing it in a in a completely uncatchable area, but it's still not good. Like as much as the Ryan Fitzpatrick YOLO style can break your way every once in a while, you're still better off having a guy that's just a good quarterback who'll put the ball on you.
But you still might be better off having a Bortles or a Fitzpatrick than, say, Alex Smith when he was super conservative, whatever. We're going to see more Allen Robinson opportunities, is my point. We're going to see opportunity for great plays. We're going to see, a wide range of Foles outcomes. That's just, I think, what it's the ceiling is high. As I wrote this week, just buckle up, Bears fans, because it could be a wild ride, but the payout could be huge for the 3-0 Bears. I mean, the payout to having Foles could be huge, or it could, it could end up 8-8. But there's a chance they go 12-4 just because Foles could get into one of those stretches. So I can't wait to see it happen. I like Indy though, the way they're playing and built. Their big question mark was having playmakers emerge. I think they've done a nice job there making it work despite injuries. Michael Pittman being hurt now and Paris Campbell being hurt. I think Rivers is playing kind of what I expected.
Yeah, I think he is. I think that situation has gone about the way everybody expected, to be honest. They thought they were a quarterback away, but they weren't quite sure enough about Rivers to, sign him for more than a year. So you bring him in, and that's kind of been what he's been. He's been good enough, and then you see every now and again the thing that scared them, right? The bad decision that's like, damn it. Like you're those couple of decisions away from being really, really good and clearly making this team a contender. I think the Colts are a good team, but I think people are sleeping on the Chicago team because of the quarterback situation. And if you get anything in terms of plus play from Foles on a week-to-week basis, they're going to be tough to beat in those weeks.
Khalil Mack going up against this O-line. Here's my question on the other side. Colts defense, buying or selling? They've got the #1 coverage grade through 3 weeks.
I mean, selling that.
Right. I mean, because Sam Darnold's just firing passes at them, and they played Kirk Cousins, and they played Minshew in week 1. So you're selling that. Xavier Rhodes right now, our top-graded corner, very much inflated by a couple interceptions. That's the reality of the position. It's not a grading knock. It's just a small sample size position. It's 3 weeks in. DeForest Buckner's been as advertised, rushing the passer really well with 10 pressures and a higher grade than that would even indicate at 83.9. But really tough to keep that level of play up.
Yeah, particularly if you go up against, better opposition. Like DeForest Buckner's biggest play so far was absolutely wrecking one of the Vikings' young rookie guards or starting guards.
Boy, did he.
Yeah, and that's that doesn't happen against good players. Like you're not able to do that against better players.
Friend of the show, Darius Leonard, 80 grade.
Yeah.
Maybe on his way to the top 101 this year.
I think we're done with it. He's done with us at this point. Like we're going to have to
listen. If we're allowed to go to Indianapolis next year for the combine and he makes the 101, we'll have a little party for him. We should have a top 101. Let's just rig the process. Get him in the 101. We'll throw a party for him in Indianapolis.
Well, let's just, wherever he ends up on the list, let's just tell him he's #1.
That's a good point too. Or let's do a whole list. Let's just rank every player legitimately and be like, dude, you're number 273. What's wrong with that? There's 1,500 players. That's good.
Oh, he'd be upset at that.
You think so?
Yeah. I think wherever he ends up on the list, we just tell him he was #4.
He wanted to be top 10.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not going to.
So we say, look, obviously Russell Wilson, MVP, was #1. Mahomes 2, Rodgers 3. You're 4.
Listening to you over the last couple of years, Bears fans have been upset.
Why?
Because you've told the truth about Mitchell Trubisky.
Oh.
This year, you sound like a Bears super fan. Are you buying Chicago? I mean, you're expecting them to make a playoff run here.
Yeah. I think A, they'll win this game, and B, this is a playoff-bound team. I don't know that they're going to be able to contend with Green Bay within the division because the Packers might be the best team in the NFC. They've currently got Rodgers playing as well as any quarterback in football. And unless you get 16 games, or not 16, whatever we got left, 13 games of Nick Foles playing at Super Bowl MVP level Nick Foles.
Come on.
That's what I'm saying, right? That's what he needs to do in order for them to beat Green Bay. That's not going to happen, right? So they're not going to overhaul the Packers in the division, but they should be a playoff-bound team because they were a playoff-bound team that just needed a quarterback to make that a reality. Trubisky isn't that guy, was able to be for like 2 weeks before it all went in the tank again, but there's no reason Foles can't be, at least in terms of baseline.
Let me just sum up Foles' career really quick. This is everything that's happened in Nick Foles' career. 2012, third round rookie, plays okay. 2013, one of the best statistical seasons of all time, matched with a Chip Kelly. 2014, he's the starter. He's supposed to duplicate that. Obvious regression, doesn't happen. Even Mark Sanchez played well in relief of him that year in that system. 2015, starting job with the Rams, disaster, terrible. 16, 17, he's a backup, but in 17 he comes in. He is horrible during the regular season. We'll talk about that with Robert. And then has the two best games of all time. Two of the best games of all time in the playoffs. He wins the Super Bowl. 18, same thing. He's in relief of Carson Wentz. Some good, some bad, some nice things in the playoffs. They lose. Last year, starting job, Jaguars, not great. Essentially replaced by Gardner Minshew after he was injured. The Foles coaster is awesome. Yeah. All I'm excited about is more Nick Foles data points this year. What is he actually?
That. They're basically going to lose every game that he plays badly in. They're going to win every game he plays well in. So whatever that ends up netting out to is what the Bears are going to finish with, record plus 3 wins that he got to start with. That's what the team is going to be. And I think that's going to be enough to make the playoffs and be dangerous.
I love looking at PFF, the Premium Stats 2.0, and you just look at his grades. And it's simple. Like, here's a green, and here's a yellow, but here's an orange, and a light green, and a dark green, and that's his career that I just summed up. But there's so much more nuance into it. There's so much more of a wild ride with the Nick Foles experience. Last week against Atlanta, he had one pass that should have been picked that turned into a big completion, and then a great game-winning touchdown. So you're all in on this Chicago Bears bandwagon. I'm taking the Colts this week to cover and to win at Chicago.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.